right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're taking a hard look at the actual reality of smart manufacturing. Now, you hear a lot of buzzwords out there, right? Industry 4.0, the IoT, big data flooding the factory floor. But we all know there's a massive difference between just hoarding data and actually understanding what it's telling you. So our goal today is simple. We're going to take all that chaotic, raw noise coming off your production line and transform it into crystal clear, actionable insight.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. Think about a modern production facility for a second. Your factory is likely pumping out millions of data points every single day. I mean, sensors are constantly pinging, machines are logging every movement, operators are scanning barcodes left and right. You've got all this meticulously collected data. But are you actually seeing anything? Or are you just kind of drowning in a sea of numbers? Because let's be honest, collecting data is the easy part. Achieving real, unvarnished visibility into what's actually happening on the factory floor, that is an entirely different beast.
So, to figure out how we actually get that visibility, we need to quickly touch on a couple of foundational acronyms, just to ground us on where all this raw data is coming from. First up, we have the MES, the Manufacturing Execution System. Regardless of how incredibly complex a factory might be, the core job of the MES is tracking. Specifically, we're talking about track-in and track-out data. Exactly when does a batch enter a machine, and exactly when does it leave? Second, we have WIP, which stands for Work in Process. This is just the industry term for all the goods that are physically moving through your production line at any given moment.
Now, if you take a peek under the hood at the raw data generated by that MES, it essentially looks like a giant, never-ending running ledger. It's capturing the exact start time, the specific operator ID who pushed the button, the product and lot ID, the precise piece of equipment used, and finally the end time. Imagine this list updating continuously, in real time, across hundreds of machines and thousands of batches every single day. But here's the stark realization. This raw data, it's essentially a blind running account. If you just stare at tens of thousands of these line items at the end of a long shift, you can't really do anything with it. You can't analyze it at a glance, and you absolutely cannot use it to make snap, real-time improvements on the floor. It's just noise. And processing that noise through a structured framework is absolutely crucial. Which leads us to the core metaphor for today. Think of lean production as the brain of your factory. It's that guiding philosophy that wants to eliminate waste and drive continuous improvement. But a brain needs visibility to actually do its job, right? It needs to see. And that is exactly where OEE comes in. Overall equipment effectiveness. OEE acts as the eyes. It measures the cold, unvarnished reality of your factory. Without the eyes of OEE feeding it information, the brain of lean production is literally flying blind.
Okay, so what exactly are these eyes looking for? Well, to understand that, we have to look at what lean is desperately trying to avoid. Lean manufacturing calls out these specific 7 deadly wastes. You've got unexpected equipment failures that just halt production entirely. You have line changeovers that chew up precious time when you switch products. There's waiting around for materials, general low running efficiency, the creation of defective products, and of course, the incredibly frustrating time wasted doing rework. These 7 issues are like ghosts constantly lurking on your factory floor, secretly eating away at your efficiency minute by minute.
So how on earth does OEE track all that chaos? Well, it takes those 7 complex interconnected losses we just talked about, and it beautifully filters them down into 3 clear, actionable pillars. Pillar 1, availability. Basically, are we running when we are supposed to be? Pillar 2, performance. When we are actually running, are we running fast enough? And Pillar 3, quality. Of the items we're pumping out, are they actually good, sellable products? It's brilliant because every single one of those manufacturing losses falls neatly into one of these 3 buckets. Let's actually put some numbers to this and walk through a typical factory shift to see how the math plays out. Say we have a standard 8-hour shift. That's 480 minutes. For availability, we take out a 30-minute planned break, and let's say we got hit with 60 minutes of unplanned downtime because a machine jammed. That leaves us actually running for 86.7% of our available time. Next up, performance. During the time we were running, we were supposed to output 320 units, but we only managed 242. So our performance efficiency? Just 93%. Finally, quality. Out of those 242 units we made, only 230 passed inspection. The rest were scrap. That leaves us with a 95% quality rate.
Now, here is where it gets really interesting. How do we get our final OEE score? We don't just average those 3 percentages together. No, we multiply them.
86.7% times 93% times 95%. That leaves us with a final OEE score of just 76.6%. Think about that for a second. This math is a brutally honest reflection of manufacturing reality. Minor delays in your availability, a slight dip in your performance speed, a handful of defects, they don't just add up. They multiply against each other, spiraling very quickly into massive overall inefficiency.
Let's bring this out of the theoretical and into the real world. Picture yourself reviewing a dashboard tracking your factory's production line C. For the first 12 days of April, everything is looking fantastic. The OEE is steadily trending well over 90%. You're feeling good. But then, boom, April 13th hits, and the overall line efficiency suddenly drops to 87%. Now, if you didn't have OEE, you might just march down to the floor and yell at the line manager. But because you have OEE, you actually have the data to stop, take a breath, and ask the right questions. Why do we drop?
Because we track our 3 pillars for every single machine, we can drill right down to the root cause. When we analyze the breakdown for line C, we see that machines 1, 3, and 4 are actually doing great, chugging along with metrics well over 90%. But then we look at machine 2. Its availability was fine, its speed was fine, but its quality metric completely cratered. It hit a 26% defect rate. Just like that, we found our hidden culprit. One single machine producing bad parts was quietly dragging the entire line's efficiency down.
And this right here is the game changer. Now that we've pinpointed the exact failure, the guessing game is over. OEE shifts us from reactive panic mode to proactive, targeted problem solving. We know machine 2 has a quality issue, right? It's not a speed issue, it's not downtime, so we can take immediate action. Maybe the equipment just needs a quick recalibration. Maybe we need to pull the operators aside for a refresher training session. Or maybe we need to kick off some preventative maintenance or even call our supplier to check if that latest batch of raw materials was somehow compromised. OEE gives us the exact bullseye to aim at.
Which brings us to a really pivotal insight about modern manufacturing. It is incredibly easy to get swept up in the hype. Everyone wants to talk about AI, the IoT, and big data. But we have to remember, big data's focus isn't big, it's effective. Hoarding mountains of track-in and track-out data is completely useless if you don't have a structured framework, like OEE, to actually make sense of it. The end goal of all this tech isn't just to have the most data. The goal is total transparency so you can drive continuous improvement.
So I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. You already have the brain of lean production in place, pushing you to cut waste and optimize every day. But you have to give that brain the eyes it needs to actually see the floor. Take a hard look at your own operations tomorrow. Are you just collecting a blind running account of data? Are your operations secretly flying blind? Or are you finally ready to implement OEE and open your factory's eyes? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this gives you a completely new perspective on how to unlock the true potential of your production floor data.